The FCA just unbanned crypto in the UK. If we look at this here, the FCA is going to lift the ban on crypto ETNs to support the UK growth and competitiveness, which is amazing because the current approach in the UK has been terrible. They banned everyone off of their accounts. They won't let you put any money into the ecosystem. And they say that you will lose money if you get involved in crypto, which is just not true. And we all know that's not true because I've been doing it for many years. I started with nothing and I don't have nothing anymore. This is very positive regulation. It's the most positive thing we've seen in ages. And the stock market, rather, there's not the stock market, the crypto market has been responding very positively to all of this positive news because that's not the only positive thing. The other positive thing is this. The Fed is expected to cut rates in the next quarter, according to Reuters. However, there is some very contrasting information that suggests that Reuters might be incorrect on that. Currently, the market in the past few minutes has just started to head to the downside a little bit. We do appear to be retracing a little bit, and that for me is making my trades look like they were slightly better decisions to open than what they actually were. I'm going to be pretty excited about making money this week. I think that we're in for a good week ahead, to be honest. And I like trading from Tuesday onwards. And I always advise anybody that's starting out in crypto, don't trade Mondays. Mondays are unpredictable. Tuesdays, from that point onwards through to Friday, they're opportune trading hours. And the best times of day to trade are from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon UK to around 5 o'clock in the afternoon UK, because this is when the US market is doing the bulk of its liquidity and volume and everything like that. And that's when you get the bulk of the big moves kicking in. Now, when it comes to the current prices of cryptocurrencies, Ethereum naturally heading to the downside right now, but of course the prices of everything are up very considerably in the past 24, 48 hours. The other day, the price of Bitcoin was down here at $100,000. Right now, the price is nearly $109,000, which is meaning that we're up around 9% in just a few days. Now, I'd expect from this point onwards a retest, and this is why I'm currently short right now. Although currently things are looking very positive for crypto, I would guess before a breakout, we're quite likely to revisit this $106,000 range. And one of the key reasons for that is because actually, if we go away from the monthly chart on the liquidations and we go over to the 3-day chart on the liquidations chart here to see where all of those bulk of positions, you'll see down at $105,000, $106,000, we've got quite a concentration of liquidity down there, and there isn't that much left above, meaning that we're probably starting to run out of steam a little bit on the upside for Bitcoin in terms of that liquidity heat map right now. Now, if we look at Bitcoin on the 15-minute chart and see how we're performing, sure, in the past 15 minutes, we've just started to head to the downside. That's not that bearish at all. And I know last week I was very bearish. This week, I mean, you can't ignore the market. The market is starting to aggressively move to the upside. We're starting to see some life in the altcoin space, just a little bit. And I would advise anybody, and I put it on Twitter today, just be careful of what you invest in. Stick to your layer ones, your layer zeros. Avoid layer twos, avoid things that are built on top of chains because they rely on relevance in order to maintain value. And relevance comes and goes during these small market cycles that we have in the bigger overall cycle. So in order to make the most money from this market cycle, what you want to do is basically be trading on futures short term. And you can do that on the links in today's video description. You'll find a link down there for Bluefin. If you can use Bluefin anywhere in the world, check out that link. You'll find it linked in today's video description. Bluefin, good exchange. This is BYBIT I'm using, and you can get a debit card and everything on BYBIT. It's fantastic. But again, in the UK, you don't have access to this. It's one of the reasons I had to leave the UK so I can maintain my access to it. But pretty soon, you might all be about to get access back because of the FCA lifting the ban on crypto ETNs. What is an ETN? It's an exchange traded note. It's similar to an ETF, but different in the sense of basically an ETF uses collateral that exists in order to buy assets. An ETN is basically very similar to an ETF where you buy assets but with debt, thus making it a derivative contract, meaning that the FCA is lifting the ban on derivative contracts in the UK that are branded as ETNs. And this would be a pretty easy fix for some of the bigger exchanges to make, to change some of their derivative contracts into ETNs to accept UK customers again. And when they do this, you're going to quickly find that you get access to BYBIT again. You get access to all of the exchanges that banned you off them again. And finally, you will no longer be in exile, which is very exciting, to be honest. And I'm pretty pleased about this development. This development in particular, I think, is going to be absolutely huge. It is not a repealing of the retail ban of trading derivatives. It's important to point out that. However, it is an unbanning of retail and institutions from playing with derivatives in the form of ETNs on crypto. So it's just a simple rebranding procedure, and pretty soon you'll see these exchanges reopen, which is very bullish for the crypto space, to be honest. I'm excited for it. And honestly, I'm very, very surprised to see this happening. And it is really good news. On the flip side of that, of course, the Fed is expected to cut rates in the next quarter, according to Reuters. And if we look at this, however, it doesn't suggest that we are going to, because currently there is a 99.9% chance at the next Fed meeting, which is in about 8 days' time, that it comes in with zero rate change. So don't expect a rate change at the next meeting. And in July, again, 85% chance of zero rate change. And if we go through to September, then finally we start looking at having a 54% chance. So within 3 months, we're expecting a rate change. But I think there's a lot of expectation. I think this recent price action to the upside has been driven a lot by the expectation that the Fed is going to cut rates at the next meeting. And if we look at my Bitcoin trade here, you can see that, sure, we're not in the best of positions right now. I've been fannying around with this all day. It's been really annoying me because I entered it here thinking that, oh, you know what, we'll come back to the downside. And it's continued pushing on upwards because the market, for some reason, is misunderstanding the news and expecting a rate cut at the next meeting. So this will play out eventually. I don't know if we're 100% bullish to the upside or not. I'm holding out for the fact that I'm pretty sure that I can save myself $3,000 by closing this trade at entry and then rethinking the overall strategy and the overall positioning of it. As it stands right now, what kind of trades are we looking at taking, and what should you be looking at taking in the market right now? Well, as I said before in the previous video, a break of this level here of $107,000, you want to be in a long position, and I didn't even follow that advice myself. I shorted about this level here around $108,500. So we're not in a significant loss right now, but still, you should just listen to what I say, to be honest, because I do tend to be correct. Now, if we go over to the 1 hour chart and we look at it again on a slightly higher time frame, we have peaked again. We've made a lower high. A lower high isn't a bullish thing, and that to me means that ultimately it's more likely that we come back down and retest this level here, getting that bullish retest before having a move back to the upside. To me, that looks like the most likely scenario for the price of Bitcoin right now. When it comes to Ethereum, in fact, before we go over that, basically you've also got another level. We break through this level here at $110,500, we will just go up in a straight line to about $120,000. You got to understand that. So you do not want to be short above this level. At these levels where we're at right now, having a tentative short position in anticipation of a drop back down to $106,000 doesn't seem like a terrible idea. But you've got to remember, be agile in your trades. That's the way that you've got to make money in this market. You've got to get out of them as soon as it starts looking like you're wrong. It's way cheaper to take a loss earlier, and then you can always come back to it. But you don't always need to be in a trade. I often am in a trade quite much of all the time because I film videos to show you trades that you could potentially be taking. And that sometimes results in me losing some money if I do tend to be wrong. However, sometimes I am very right, and overall, we make money doing it, so it's all okay. Either way, I do fancy the move to the downside more than I fancy the move to the upside right now. When it comes to Ethereum as well, what has really significantly changed in the past 24 hours for Ethereum? Why is Ethereum pumping so much? Like, this is the 1 hour chart for Ethereum, but if we look at it and zoom in a little bit, ETH is up so much, 2,400 up to 2,700 in just a few hours. Why is this? Well, this is because in America, the new chair of the SEC has started talking very positively about how DeFi is going to change the American landscape when it comes to finance, and that DeFi is actually the future of finance in the USA. This has been very bullish for Ethereum, this kind of talk, but it remains to be seen whether this kind of talk actually results in action. What we tend to see is when this current administration says positive things about crypto, it has a short-term uptrend before eventually fading off because they just say things for popular effect rather than actually acting on anything. So it remains to be seen whether they do anything with Ethereum, but the current SEC chair is talking very positively about DeFi and how it can positively impact the US economy. Now, when it comes to Solana from the other day when I said you maybe should buy it down at 140, it's now back up at 160 again, pretty much. And is it going to continue to the upside or not? Well, I prefer to buy Solana out of anything right now because I think that ETH is high. And when you compare Solana to that of Ethereum, Solana is just as good of a DeFi prospect. There's so many DeFi protocols built on top of Solana that when you compare it with that of Ethereum, if I go over to the Ethereum daily chart here and I show you how well Ethereum's been performing recently, for me, I just prefer the look of the Solana chart. I don't know about you, But to me, Solana strikes me as a more modern, faster, cheaper to run chain, more prone to mass adoption, especially when it comes to DeFi. And Ethereum strikes me as a dinosaur that has never really improved, despite having many, many, many years to improve everything about Ethereum. They've never done it. Something else I'd like to point out is the short position that I had on the Germany 40. I have now closed in its entirety for a profit. We took the trade the other day at these levels, about here, where the price currently sits, around 24,160, I think was my entry. It went upwards. We were wrong. It came back downwards. I cashed it this morning around these levels here, and now we're looking for another trade when it comes to the foreign exchange and index fund market. So I'll keep an eye out for another trade on these ones, but that one finally did pay off. I said it'd come good. If you're part of my Telegram group, which is free to join, you'll find it linked in today's video description. You can ask me questions about everything like that. It's completely free to join that group. All you do is click the link. But basically, overall, that was a pretty good trade, and I'm pretty pleased, to be honest, that we managed to cash it in a profit for a while there. It was looking a little bit hairy, but it's all good. Anyway, Bitcoin is actually bouncing here on the short-term time frame, which is pretty good. But overall, what I'd expect for Bitcoin, let's just get rid of, I'm not going to get rid of it because it means pressing all of these. To be honest, I could probably just, there we go. Yeah. Right, what I expect from here, just more of this going out sideways, inevitably downwards, and then probably a very aggressive upside. That tends to be what we've been having a lot of recently. A lot of sideways, chopping you up, chopping you out of your trades, liquidate you, and then pump. Imagine being James Wynn today. It's got to suck, because when we look at James Wynn's account, it's got $1,000 in it. He's currently holding a position here for $39, and he's currently 29 cents in profit. This has got to be the saddest P&L. It's worse than any of my P&Ls. Good God, imagine this is you, down 70 million in a month. Ugh, horrible, absolutely disgusting, especially considering he was actually right. He was just over leveraged, and this was my advice to him at the time, was just deleverage it. You'll be right eventually, but 140x leverage, you will not win. And something that people quite frequently bring up to me is, but TMG, sir, you always use crazy leverage here. Yes, but I'm using cross leverage, and I'm not using crazy leverage because I'm using cross leverage, which means that I have access to all of the capital inside that area of my account using this. And so basically, I'd prefer to use a smaller amount of margin so that I can have more trades using slightly more leverage overall for sure, but not a dangerous amount at all. I'm not using isolated 50x, isolated 100x. That's where it gets dangerous. Now, James, when James was trading here, you can see that he's also using cross leverage, but because he's only got one trade open and he's using cross leverage, he may as well be using isolated leverage. It really doesn't matter whether he's using cross or whether he's using isolated. Isolated basically just locks off the portion of margin that is required for that trade, and it will liquidate should it go into a loss, whereas cross will allow you to use more and more of your margin within your account in order to maintain that trade. Of course, if you are interested in trading, check out the link for Blowfin and BYBIT in today's video description. Blowfin if you're in the UK, US or EU, and BYBIT if you are in any of the countries that are not those countries, because BYBIT ultimately is a better platform, but you can't use it in the UK. BYBIT is just by far, honestly, Ben, you've done an amazing job on BYBIT. It is a fantastic platform. Look at me creaming my pants over a CEO. But it's a really good platform, and I love it. Blowfin is on its way to being nearly as good as BYBIT. So Blowfin is the next BYBIT, in my opinion, which is why you should hop on it. Link in today's video description. But overall, mixed outlook for today. But don't be expecting that we're going to get a rate cut in June, because it's just not going to happen. Because right here it says there's a 99.9% chance of nothing changing. If we do get a rate cut in June, you can guarantee the market's going to spike upwards. Bitcoin will be $150,000 within moments after that announcement happening. It'll just go up in a straight line. So be careful of that. Make sure you don't over leverage. Make sure you're trading safe. And if you are going to trade, check out links in today's video description. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you've learned something. See you in a bit.